What's up, everybody? This is your boy Marco, the host of the Unscripted with Marco, the podcast. And here we are, episode 2. And I really want to jump right into it, man, because I think I got something that I want to tell you that nobody else is willing to tell you. And that deals around our anxiety and things that we are anxious about. And I want to tell you that you're not anxious. You are trying to control what you were never meant to carry. So many of us, I wish that I can count the number, but so many of us are really carrying things in our lives that we were never meant to carry. It's not your fault. It's not your issue. It's not your thing to fix, but you're trying to fix it because you think it fell in your lap. So let's tell the truth. Most of the anxiety that we have in our life is not because we are weak. It's because we're over responsible. We're holding all of the tension, all of the feelings, because we feel like we are responsible to carry what somebody else dropped. And you're carrying the tension of conversations that haven't even happened yet. You're carrying the tension of outcomes that you can't control. You're carrying the expectation that somebody else put on you and you didn't even put on yourself. There is a quote that says, which of you by worrying will add a single hour to your life? The translation of that is, control feels productive, but it's not powerful. And today is not about just calming down. It's about putting the weight down. Think about the invisible weight that you are carrying on your shoulders that you don't need to carry. Think about the weight that you're carrying that may be somebody else's responsibility, but because your lack of trust, you carry it and you hold it like it's yours when it's not yours, when in fact, if you actually release it, you may be actually able to get some sleep at night. Anxiety is what happens when responsibility exceeds authority. You're stressed because you are managing things that you actually don't have power over. Here's a couple of them. You don't have power over people's reactions. What people think about you is none of your business. I literally heard Deion Sanders just quote that Coach Prime the other day. What you think about me ain't got nothing to do with me. It got more to do with you. So maybe you need to look, or maybe they need to look. The elders would say, have a little talk with Jesus. You need to figure out something, because what you think about me probably says more about you than it does me. And the likelihood that I'm going to respond to the mess that you carry on is not highly likely, because I don't really care what you think about me anyways. That's your problem. I think very highly of myself. My mother always told me, when you walk into a room, walk with your head up, shoulders back, and your chest out like you own the room, even if you're the janitor. So I don't really care what you think. I'm going to carry myself in the way that I know that I'm supposed to carry myself. We carry anxiety about future outcomes. A lot of us don't know. I mean, nobody really knows what the future holds. We know what our retirement account looks like right now, but we don't know what our retirement account is going to look like in 30 years or 20 years when we set to retire. Don't try to control that. You don't control the market. You don't control anything outside of the scope of where you're standing right now, or maybe a subordinate that you may have under you, or whatever the case may be. But future outcomes, you can't really control that. Stop trying to do that. You can't control timing. I'm not going to call nobody out, but I know a couple of people that you can't be on time if I paid you. If I paid you to show up on time, you would miss out on the money because you can't be there on time. So when it comes down to the timing of certain things, stop stressing about it. One thing that I love is that women are regaining their own power right now and not worrying about when they're going to get married or when they're going to have kids and all of this kind of thing. Like, that's great, because society will put standards on people based on what you bring into the world, which to some case may be great, but to women, what difference do it make to you when a woman has a baby? What difference does it make to you when a woman or a man gets married? It literally makes no difference. That's why I'm wearing my shirt proudly now from Stoop and Stank. If you want to go get more clothing from them, you can go find their website. But the shirt says literally, shout out to Black women just because. Because Black women have been leading the charge on regaining their own power, but not just regaining it, actually voicing it and taking up space and authority in the rooms that they are in, and not allowing people to add anxiety and stress to their life to control said outcomes. You don't get to control nobody's outcome in anybody's life. When you carry things that you can't control, your nervous system never gets a rest. Have you ever seen somebody that lay down at night and literally can't go to sleep because they can't stop their mind from racing? Now, if you actually think about the things that you could control, then your mind would not race, because the things that you could control are probably already handled because you control them. You're worrying about some other stuff that got to be done next week, next month, next year, and you can't even focus on right now, and that's just getting a good, peaceful night's sleep. Focus on what you can control and put your energy there, and not focus on the now of your energy. And focus on the now of your energy and center yourself and allow yourself to be where your feet are. If you just focus on where you are right now, then many of the situations in life won't even matter, because you're so focused on the now that the future is not really at the top of mind, but it's not really a huge factor right now. And truth be told, if you focus on what's happening now, the future will take care of itself. Another one, control feels safe, but it quietly steals your peace. Many of us have anxiety because we got control issues. Did I say that out loud? I think I did. Let me make sure I say it again, so I hope you hear me. You have anxiety issues because you have control issues. And here is what control is. Control is a coping mechanism and not a solution. You probably have control issues because you always had to do it. There was no other you. You didn't have anybody else to rely on. So you started working early, you started taking care of yourself early, and then now you went off and you're doing everything in the adult world, and you're trying to control everything, and you're worried about what about the outcome of this or the outcome of that, when in fact, I know you always had to do it. You just can't catch this. Trust anybody else to do it the way that you would do it. You are breaking down your own nervous system because you refuse to let things go. There may be a capable person around you that can either aid and assist you with something, or just do it for you, and you are then allowed to release your hands off of that and not focus on something else, but maybe focus on yourself. Control gives you the illusion of safety while it is draining your emotional reserves. Peace does not come from certainty, it comes from trust. If you want peace in your life, chances are you need to focus on what you can control, not let your anxiety overtake you or overcome you, and solicit help when possible so that you can have said peace. Ask yourself, because it's draining you when you don't do it, but ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid will happen if I don't put my hands on it and allow it to unfold another way? Because you're carrying something that necessarily is not your issue, but because you decided to control the issue, you are now responsible for the outcome, when in fact, if you never put your hands on it in the first place, you would never have to worry about it. But here's what happens when you control too much and you let anxiety build up. Your body starts to know when you are carrying too much. Anxiety shows up physically first, internally, before it happens anywhere else. Tight chest, racing thoughts, constant fatigue. Your body is literally asking you to slow down and realign your priorities because clearly your body has not been the priority. There's a book that I had to read while I was in school called "The Body Keeps the Score," and the quote says, "Trauma robs you of feeling that the trauma robs you of the feeling that you are in charge of yourself." There's another book by Resma Menaker called "In My Grandmother's Hands," and he says that trauma is not primarily a story about the past; it's about how the past lives in the present. You are holding on to tension that ain't nobody else thinking about. I know, I know, I know. You still remember about what so and so said about you. You still remember how so and so treated you. Meanwhile, so and so then went on about their lives, doing their own thing, ain't really worried about you, probably don't even remember you, and you sitting up, can't get sleep at night about it. You know you didn't block the person on all social media platforms. You ain't really, looking at their social media, but somehow, some way, you get triggered by something and now you're worried about what somebody else thinks instead of worrying about what is actually happening in your life. You are allowing your past to live in your present, and because you can't let go, you're now bringing it into the present. And not only are you bringing it into the present, chances are you're impacting somebody else with it, because now your new man or your new bae or your new boo or the person around you or sometimes even your kids now have to carry the trauma that you bring along because you refuse to let it go. And now your body is keeping the score. Let your body rest before your mind spirals you out of control. And I know you got trust issues. Trust is not a passive thing. But when you discipline yourself to release said things, you will then see that you actually might be able to trust somebody else. And letting go does not mean that you stop caring. It just means that you stop controlling. What would things look like if you decided not to control the outcome? What would things look like if you gave somebody else the reins and let them run with it? Many of y'all know already I'm a pastor in my past, well now, and in my past I was a community organizer. I've been a coach, I've been a leadership consultant. I realize that there are some things that people do better than me, but when I release it and allow them to do it, it really makes me look better. I'm married and been married almost 15 years now. My wife is better at managing our finances than I am. My wife is her nickname in our family is literally spreadsheet because she lives in Excel. But she is literally more capable of doing certain things than I am. And because I release those things to her, then the outcome on the back end is better and it makes our family unit just that much better. So when you release the outcome of certain things, you'll notice that trust is an active choice to release what you can't manage. You can't manage everything. Your life is one thing and you can do the best that you can, but there are certain outcomes in your life that you cannot manage. And you need to let it go because the anxiety is driving you crazy. And again, your body keeps the score. So, one thing that I want to suggest and I want to recommend to you is that if you decide or make the decision to release the outcome, allow yourself to do that just a couple of times a day. Say that this isn't my responsibility. I'm giving it over to you, and I trust you to deal with it. I trust you to handle the outcome because this now, once you do it daily, you will see that it then becomes a normal practice and it will ultimately lead to a healthier you. There are so many people in my generation that are dying of heart attacks at a very young age, and I can only imagine the amount of stress that they're keeping. Peace returns when you stop trying to be the source of all things and only do what your hands can allow you to do at that moment. You can't be everything to everybody and then be nothing to yourself. And then you got to stop thinking that everybody will treat you how you treat them. Your value of yourself is not based on how much you carry. The value of yourself is based on what you think about yourself, because truth be told, when you carry too much, ultimately what you carry can crush you. And then you'll look back thinking that everything is everybody else's fault. No, you carried that. You dealt with that. You held on to that tension. You held on to that relationship. You held on to that work assignment at work too long, when you really should have just let it go. And if you would have let it go, or told your boss, no, I can't stay over late. Bosses ain't gonna like hearing that, but it's okay. No, I can't stay over late. No, I can't work overtime. And you value yourself by how much you're willing to carry. Because when it comes to fruition, it all feels good. It all looks good. You think everything is fine. All of that looks great. But when you carry so much, you ultimately lead yourself to potential collapse. And then you crush yourself under the weight of the pressure that you put on yourself and that nobody else put on you. So you were never meant to be the provider, to be the one that makes things happen for certain. You were never meant to be the one that's always in control. You were meant to participate in the process and not dominate the process. When you stop being the source, you will finally see that you are actually supported by more people than just yourself. Stop taking on those extra roles at work when they ain't paying you no extra money. Stop taking on those extra assignments in the community when it's not speaking to the things that bring value to your life. So your anxiety is not just anxiety about what's happening around you. Your anxiety is because you're not even doing the things that bring you joy. You're not doing the things that bring you peace. So maybe you're not anxious. Maybe you're just carrying things that have never been assigned to you. And maybe the outcome of that looks like releasing control, because when you release control, you will see that peace does not just visit you, it stays with you. Take your hands off some stuff. A daily practice could be asking yourself, or allowing yourself to release one thing daily. And then those small outcomes of releasing daily will then turn into a practice. I hope that this helped you the way that it helped me. I had a mentor share these very same things with me, and I am not one that hoards information. I will give it as soon as I get it, if I know that it can help you. Your peace depends on you. Your anxiety that you carry, ask yourself, what in this can I really control? And what in this can I control right now? And if you can't control it, and if you can't do anything about it right now, I beg you to let it go, because I wouldn't want to see what happens to you when you carry too much. If this episode gives you language for what you've been feeling, I want you to go back, listen to it again, because sometimes clarity does not come from new information. It comes from repetition. If you know somebody that's dealing with stress and anxiety and overwork and being overdriven by all of the things of life, share this with them and let them know that you're not the only one that's dealing with this. And remember, you're never behind. You're always becoming. This is Unscripted with Marco, and I hope that you have a great day, and I hope that you have a great week. Peace.